Hello and welcome to the Power BI quiz where I today have Grace. Welcome Grace for being part of the show.
Hey.
And Grace, can you tell us why is this topic so important? Data visualization.
Okay, so I think a lot of us here have been spending a lot of time in Power BI. Maybe we've been doing a lot of DAX, a lot of M, and all that hard work. And what I find is that a lot of people tend to kind of falter at the last part. We spend so much time, so much energy on it just to get like our insights from the data. But when we are at the boardroom, that 10 minutes, that 10 slides, that's where I think things don't quite work out all the time. So I think it's because for us who are really good with our M or our DAX or all the technical stuff, we find that this kind of data visualization kind of things a little bit sort of, I don't know, a bit airy, a little bit, it's like the marketing folks, they might be better at it, the design people better at it. Because we feel like there are no hard and fast rules, right? To us, it's like 1 + 1 must be 2. You can't be kind of like 2. Right. But when it comes to visualization, it comes to like design, it feels a bit like that. So I find that, that's something that we need to pay attention to, because if not, we're not doing justice to the work, all that hard work that we've been doing. Right. So I think to me, it's like design, it's a blend of art and science. There is some science to that as well, but we need to also learn to be a bit more comfortable with a bit of the nuances, a little bit of, give and take, and not just be so hard-nosed on always having a very definite fixed answer to something.
Yeah, and there is actually a lot of books and people have done a lot of science on this topic. So and you're from Singapore?
Yes, I'm from Singapore. It's right now 2 a.m. where I am. But this is a fun show, to be honest. Like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice sleep for tonight. Yeah. So yes, representing from Singapore. Anyone in from Asia side, maybe in a ±3 hours from me.
I believe maybe we
I
have
think we've
some
got,
from India, but maybe
yeah,
not.
no, yeah, India is probably about 3.5 hours behind, thereabouts. So it's still all right. We're still in Asia. We haven't crossed to Europe yet.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this show is running here in Europe time at 8 p.m. But it's just hard. You can't pick one time every week that is good for everyone. So
Nah,
unfortunately,
yeah,
Asia has been the part of the world that is just not lucky around this time.
yeah.
We had Reza from New Zealand joining, and also Owen that won one of the first quizzes, and that was 6 a.m. in the morning for them. So,
Wow.
but we have I don't think we have tried 2 a.m. before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
This is really good and a really commitment. So I'm really glad that you will join us today and learn us something about data visualization. I have seen all your questions and I've already learned something. So hopefully everyone else also can learn something in this quiz. And I can see we have Alexandro birthday today. So congratulations to Ales, who has also actually won a couple of the quizzes. So maybe he has a birthday wish today, winning this quiz. I know.
Happy birthday.
I know he is studying every week for the topic, and you are so kind of putting out some links to some of the stuff we will go through today. So yeah,
Okay.
should we get on it and have a look at the prizes? So as the grand prize for the winner, we will have a gift card to lego.com of $100, and then for the raffle prize for this week is 1 hour complimentary coaching from you.
Yep.
Yeah. So one lucky attendee will get 1 hour to get some review. Can you tell us a little more about what is it?
Yeah, so the 1 hour session with me is to sort of help you to look at what you are building right now, and maybe if you're struggling sort of to figure out, where should I place the visuals, or even which visuals to pick, about the colors, about the interactivity, all these we can talk through during that 1 hour. It's not for me to give answers, but more of to guide you to consider the various kind of principles, or to sort of critique your own work. So for me, it's to hold that space and that time. And of course, if there are some, I might think of some ideas, I could also just share it with you. But ideally, the whole point is to guide you to think through your decisions in choosing where you want to put, your visuals, the size, the story, the flow, for the use case that you are actually building that report for.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really, really great prize that you have for us, and we can have a look at your website here, where you also have a lot of content around these topics. I especially love this one. Is my favorite from your website, telling how to go through the different phases and display and present an attractive dish. That's all the quiz is about today. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So the way I kind of laid it out is because a lot of my the target audience I'm working with, a lot of us are having the Excel background, and for us, if we're not coming from like a programming or a database kind of background, to us everything's just just Excel, and just like a whole mess of steps, right? But then in order to bring people into this new Power BI world, we've got to sort of make it into like the little blocks, so that they understand where this is all going and how it all fits together. If not, it's very overwhelming, I find. So I thought, yeah, well, if people can relate better with visuals and stories, let's do that.
Yeah. It's a really, really, really nice way of putting it up. So that's the raffle prize for this week. If you want some review coaching on or if you are the lucky winner, and we will pick the lucky winner next week. For the grand prize, we have the same as for every quiz, $100 gift card to Lego, and here are some of the things you can go in and look at and buy if you win the quiz today. And then for the random winner for last week, here are the attendees, where we had Mark joining us for the first time and then win the quiz. So I'm not sure if Mark is here today, because if he can win another one today, it will be very, very a great achievement from him. But we can also see
he's a very lucky man.
Oh yeah.
If he wins today, you'll be very lucky. 1 out of 35, is it?
Yeah, 1 out of 35. So he was. It was the quiz with Justina around AI in Power BI we had last week. But we had a lot of different attendees, and I've assigned them all a random index number, or actually it's the random function in DAX that's been used. And would you pick one, Grace?
Okay, so the lucky raffle prize goes to 28.
28. Let's see who's behind 28. I will go through here, and we had Abhishek, who was ranked 13 last week. So congratulations to you. And if you're part of the quiz today, please just shout out in the chat, or if you know the winner, have him contact me so he can get this Enterprise DNA membership. That was the prize from last week for the raffle winner. So yeah, congratulations to him. And now for the quiz intro. So the Kahoot Quiz, you will see all the questions on your monitor, and then you will answer on your mobile or on secondary monitor. Just go to kahoot.it. Just be sure to have a secondary screen. There's a lot of images and pictures in this today, so the bigger screen you can see the questions on, the better, I will say. And then you can pick a nickname, your full name or Twitter handle. And please be aware we have a 3 to 5 seconds delay. That means you will actually see the answer opportunities before you see the questions. But it also means in the end that you don't, if we have 30 seconds to answer, you will probably only have 27 seconds Yeah, and we have one start question, no points awarded, and then we have the 10 real questions that Grace came up with around data visualization and storytelling. And the faster you answer, the more points. And we should also point out all results are posted public on a Power BI public report. So that was the intro to the Kahoot. Let's get started. So, and there's always people joining in and seeing who can be the first one in. So let's go over and I will start the Kahoot and let's see who is the first one joining. Oh, it's loading the pin code. So now we have the pin code and now we can see if it's Kyle or Benny. It was Benny that was first in. And we have people joining in. And I will say that maybe I can recognize maybe at least 50% of these names are some that have been here.
We've got repeat quizzes.
Oh yeah, we have actually, I think, 15 people that have been joining 10 or more quizzes.
Wow.
So there are some
You
people
should maybe have some badges out there. I've got streaks.
Yeah. Some people are very dedicated, but also it's totally fine just to go in and join one quiz and maybe win that quiz and then don't show up anytime more. It's also fine. And Donald saying this is the highlight of my week. Thank you.
Highlight. Ooh.
So we have 34 here, and people can also join in the middle of the quiz. So the first question is not awarded points. So if there's some technical issues that's troubling you, don't worry. You can always come in. So I will start the quiz, and we will have the first question here. Or that's actually not a question, it's just a poll.
Okay, so when you are asked to visualize and present data, how do you feel? Do you feel delighted? Bring it on. A little uneasy? I don't know which visual works best. Nothing, it's just part and parcel of life. Or, oh God, please no, I'll take M and DEX any day over. Right, so just test out that your mobile is working. Log in your answers and they say, oh, wow, we've got lots of people excited about it.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
So that's a good start. And let's have the first real question of the quiz.
Compare 120 versus 100. Which visual cue would help you perceive the difference most accurately? So you've got 4 options there. Is it the different intensity of the color to help you see the difference between the number 120 and 100? Or would it be volume, area, or length? Okay, you're comparing these two numbers, 120 and 100. Which one would help you most easily see the difference with the highest level of accuracy? Okay, let's see. And the answers should be in. All right, great. Yes, okay, so length should be the one that you would like to choose, because actually you could choose any of the visual cue. All 4 of them would work. But if you want to talk about perception accuracy, right, that's the one you want to use the length, because you can see it's using the length, that kind of attribute, to let you get a very clear sense of the difference. The rest, when you look at, let's say, intensity, the shades of color, it's not so precise. Same for area and volume as well, right? Area is a little bit better than volume, because volume, you have like the 3rd dimension to it. So it's a lot more complex. Your brain can't quite register it as fast. So length, definitely the one that gives you the highest accuracy.
Yeah, thank you for answering that. And let's see, we have Rishi in top, mostly because he was answering quickest on this first question. And we have Alice that has birthday today, all joining the scoreboard. So, wow. Let's have the next question.
Okay, so the next question is, when 2 sets of data share the same x-axis, what's the clearest way of visualizing them? Okay, so you've got 4 options from the left to the right. The first one, what you see very common, is a combo chart, We've got the same x-axis, but representing two different values. You've got the left primary axis and the secondary right one. Okay, and then the next one also has the same. The difference is the color. The right axis is orange, that matches the line. The third one would be take away the axis, label the points directly. The last one is to separate them into two different charts altogether. Okay, and let's see.
Oh.
Wow, okay, yep. Oh, secondary with the color coded. Yeah. Okay, so my guess is this. I think if we have quite a bit of an Excel background here, we've been fed a lot of combo charts. It's really easy to just throw it in because it's just one thing, right? You don't want to have so many things. But when you talk about clearest way of visualizing, why I didn't choose those options, it's because it can still be a little bit confusing because of the scale. Right, even though we've color coded the same color orange on the secondary y-axis with the orange lines, but it's like having, you know, like on the left hand side, the primary one is up to $80, but on the right, it's a completely different thing, which is like just a number 0 to 6. So for a clearer way of visualizing it, you may want to separate them, but stack them on top of each other so you can still make use of the common the common x-axis. Yeah.
Yep. And we only have 3 people answering this one so correctly. So
tricky.
Yeah. Tricky. And we have
tricky.
Nexus and LS as the only one have answered both of the first one correctly. So, and we have actually a question. Wouldn't it depend on what we are hoping to gain from the visualization if it was trends versus numbers?
Well, someone just answered, it depends. Yeah, so I guess, I don't know, it feels like perhaps Carl was thinking if we're just looking at trends, it wouldn't be so it wouldn't be so contentious. I guess we could just choose any of that. It would give you an idea. But I was looking at what's the clearest way of visualizing. So all options were possible, but I was trying to get at clarity as well. So to me, clarity also meant that you need to pay a bit of attention to, how accurately and how quickly someone can get their understanding. Yeah, which is why, we're looking at trying to separate them into two different ones so that there's no room for ambiguity. There's no room for someone to be, trying to guess and trying to fiddle and struggle with the difference in scale for the two axes.
Yeah. So it's all about just having the data put directly into the brain, right? So
yeah. So I would say again, some of these things here, it's more of a guideline, and you're right to say that a lot of things it depends. So I've been a little bit careful about wording my question as well. Yeah.
And then let's go for the third question.
Okay, which visual helps us most accurately perceive the difference between country population? All right, so all the data here, it's showing the various countries with their population. Which one would help you best perceive the difference in the different countries' population? Would it be the column, the bar, the table, or a heat map that's across the entire globe? Okay, which one would it be? You want to be able to find the one that best helps you see the difference between the different nations. Okay, that's the one that most people got. All right, so if you look at it, you can see most people chose bar. You could also choose, I would say column and bar would be the one that helps you see the most accurately the difference, because the visual cue that you're using to encode this information is length. Okay, but if you're looking at map would be, I know map's a popular choice in this quiz here. I think maybe because we are we are more used to thinking about the geography, the locations of where places are. But map actually is a little bit confused in this example, because if you think about the visual cues needed to encode information, it's actually the color, right? It's the intensity of the color. So we assume like the darker ones would be of a higher number and the lighter ones of a lesser number. Yeah. But the problem is this over here. First, in terms of the difference in intensity, it's not so precise compared to length. But the other trouble that we're having in this is area is coming into play as well, right? Because all these land masses, all these areas. And I think if you look at it, you see Russia Russia has fewer people than China,
Yeah.
which is why it's a light blue compared to a dark blue for China. But because of its very large area, it seems to get a bit more attention. Like it's like calling you out a little bit more to pay attention to it compared to China. Yeah. So I wouldn't like recommend it so much if you're trying to, accurately see the difference between the two. Now, table, of course, it's the most precise. And I guess if you could see like from a 10 digit to like a 9 digit to 8 digit, you could still see the difference. But someone would still have to read the numbers to kind of make sense of it compared to if you could visually just show it in the column or a bar. So some of you will be like, hey, wouldn't column work anyway? Because column bar, they're the same using length. Now for column, it's not so ideal in the sense that because it depends. Again, it depends. If you've got just like 2 or 3 or 4, a few categories, column would work quite well as well. But right now, I've deliberately put in a longer list. So the moment you have a longer list, it starts to run across the page. And for some countries like the US of A, you've got a really long full name. It's a little bit harder to squeeze everyone in there. You might make them kind of like stand kind of sideways. It's not so friendly for the reading. So it's nice if you look at the bar. For the bar, you can see even though you have a very long label, you could conveniently, very easily put it horizontally, and it's easy to read. Not just that, all the country names line up really nicely, aligned, on along one line. Not just that, for the bar, I've also chosen to put the data labels directly on the chart as well. So your eyes don't have to jump from, the value on the axis and then to just like get that. Yeah. So that's the thinking behind this.
Yeah, really, really good explanation of this and making it really clear that the bar chart is the right choice here. And we can see Singapore and Denmark is actually even in country population, but in size, then it will be very different.
you can't even see us. We are like a speck, like a dot.
Yeah.
You can't see us at all.
Let's see now the scoreboard. And we have Nexus from Spain at top.
All right, he's still holding it there.
Yeah. Let's have the fourth one.
Okay, which visual helps us most accurately perceive the magnitude of change from 2015 to 2020? This question focuses on which one shows you most obviously the magnitude of change. Okay, between 2 years, we're trying to see what's the difference. On the left, you've got the slope graph, and then you have this 100% stacked column, a pie, and then a clustered column. All right, all of them, it may be a little bit small on your screen. It's okay. Don't worry about it. All these are just percentage numbers out of 100. Okay, so which one would most accurately help you see the change? Wow, nice. A lot of you got the right answer. Okay, so yes, then let's talk through the different charts and why the slope graph would be the one. Okay, so over here, the focus was on which one would help you most easily see the magnitude of change. So when you talk about change, again, to me, it's about quantitative again. And for quantitative information, it's about, we would think about length, right? So a lot of you might have thought, could it be 100% stacked column or perhaps a clustered column might work? So let's talk about these two first. These two work very well because they use the length to encode the information. But if you look at 100% stacked column, it's good to tell you the decomposition, right? To see the breakdown of how things are distributed. But to see the change, it may be a little bit trickier. Why? If you see for 2015 to 2020, the orange ones, the orange lines are easy to tell because they are starting from the same base. But all the other categories, the banana, the carrots, the durians, they are starting at different start points. So it's a bit harder to kind of compare, and you kind of need to use your eyes to trace that. Okay, so to kind of, if that's a problem, perhaps we could use a clustered column to solve it, right? So some of you chose clustered column. Yes, it's a lot easier because now they start all from the same baseline. Okay, but where the slope graph shines a little bit more over these two is instead of using length, if those of you have done your reading on the perception accuracy of visual cues, slope graph actually make use of position. position is slightly higher in terms of accuracy compared to the length. So for the slope graph, you could see it's ordered in the same way as your 100% stacked column. On the left, it's 2015, on the right, 2020. But the position of the dots for each of the category, that's the one that first shows you the comparison with each of them. But it is the slope itself that shows you the magnitude of change. The steeper the slope, you can straight away visually, you get it right away that, hey, the steeper it is, the more change there is, the gentler it is, not so much. So that actually takes out a bit of the processing power you need to have when you're even comparing the lines, the distances between the lines. And because all 4 categories could be stacked nicely on top of each other, it's very easy to see, how they have changed over time and in relation to each other as well.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure a lot of people learned a lot from this explanation. So thank you for that. And also people are saying, oh, I haven't done so bad in the quiz before. And that's just fine because now you're learning a lot.
Yeah.
Let's have the leaderboard. And we have Nexus on top still.
Ooh, he's on the street.
Yeah, he's answered the only one answering, I believe, the first 4 correctly. He has an answer streak of 4. So yeah, nice. And we have Rishi also coming in the leaderboard again. And let's see. This is a multi-select. And double points.
Okay, sketching your report by hand before creating it in Power BI will take you some time, will help facilitate discussions and align the team. Sketching will waste your time, or sketching will reduce abortive work. Okay, there is more than one correct answer. You can choose one or more correct answer. All right, so a sketch, I'll just put some sketches up there. That's from my training. So that's how I do it on Post-its with markers. So which ones? Is it one, all, a few? Which ones would it be?
Let's see. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yes, sketching will take time. No doubt about it. Some people will feel like it slows you down, okay? But there's a lot of benefits from it, right? So it'll take a bit of time. But what happens is I find that particularly if you're working with more complex kind of reports, or if there are many stakeholders involved, sometimes this sketching work, it lets you then easily sound other people out and, hey, what do you think about this flow? If I'm using this to kind of like flow the story or some of the ways you want to showcase certain data, does that work for you? What do you think about that? You could run it with your boss, you could run it with your teammates, run it with your stakeholders, right? The idea here is get people to give you their inputs early, so you don't waste like hours already making it really pretty, really nice, piping everything in, doing all the data modeling at the DAX and putting it all nicely in a dashboard or report, only for them to say, this is not relevant, that wasn't so important, and you have to do all that work again, right? So it reduces a lot of abortive work, but the process of going to engage them also builds rapport. It helps you have buy-in, and it'll bring people along the journey. So you don't kind of like surprise them with something that they weren't looking for, but something that they've also contributed a part to creating for the overall product as well.
Nice. And now I think everyone actually have points because no one answered incorrectly on this one. as no one thinks it's a waste of time. That's good. So now we have everyone on the scoreboard, and we have a new leader here, Amadeo.
Oh, that was close. That was really close.
Yeah, really close now in all on top 5 now. So wow. Let's have the next one.
Okay, so this is another multi-select. Which Gestalt principles does the after visual make use of to improve communication? So there's a before on top, there's a before set of charts on top, and there is an after below. Okay, what are the Gestalt principles that the after visual makes use of to improve it? Take a look closely. What are the differences you notice between the before and the after chart? Is it continuity? Is it similarity? Is it enclosure? Or is it proximity? Continuity, similarity, enclosure, proximity. Which are these that will improve it? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I only think half of the attendees actually managed to end this question. So we should have had
this was This was yeah, we might have needed a longer time for this. So let me explain this. This one, if you want to find out more about Gestalt Principles, you can check I think Yust have put that in the link. So Gestalt Principles, all these 4 that you've seen as the answers are one of, well, they are 4 of the a few Gestalt Principles. So Gestalt Principles is sort of saying, how do people actually make sense of the world? When you have visual stimuli, if like lots of information from them, or like patterns or things, how do they kind of get order out of that so-called mess? So over here, let's go through each of it. So the first one I think was it's kind of covered. Which one was it again? Let me see if I can find it. Continuity, right? Continuity, to be specific, where we use that. I think it might not have been so clear on the screen. I apologize for that. Yeah, it might not have come out so well. So if you look at the grid lines on the before chart, they're solid gray lines. And they're kind of jarring and trying to fight for attention. So what we did was in the after chart, I don't know if you can see it, but it's dotted lines actually. So we're using the principle of continuity to have dotted lines to still sort of give you the idea of that guiding horizontal line, but not it be shouting in your face. Okay, so continuity was the first one that we used. The second one is similarity. So similarity makes use of similar colors so that you know that they're related to each other. So for example, you can see there are like black lines and gray lines. So the black lines would refer to each other to say that, oh, we're talking about the current year, the current trends. And for the gray lines, they are the ones where it's like, oh, last year. So we're thinking about, even within the colors, what's the hierarchy, the priority. The black one would command more attention and say it's more important than the current year. But the gray one kind of, sings a little bit back in the background. Yeah. So that's for similarity. For enclosure, you will notice that after the charts there, they have a gray, kind of very light gray box behind it to sort of enclose all of them in the same space to refer that, all these things, they belong to the sales indicators. So on the left, you will have like a total year-to-date sales, you will have year-to-date actual trending, you will have the variance for year-to-date, and then you also have a monthly trend. But all these, they are all actually grouped together using an enclosure, like a box of sorts, to say that they belong to each other, they belong in the same group. Okay, so that's for enclosure. Then the last one is on proximity. So for proximity, it's very specific to things like if you put things that are near to each other, we would think they are related. So in this case, I've made use of proximity for the data labels on the waterfall chart in between. You'll see the difference is that the one on top doesn't have data labels. It just uses a grid line, but you find that you are doing a bit of work having your eyes bounce from the y-axis to the chart. But instead of making you do that work, I've just labeled it directly. So having the labels on the chart, that's using proximity to say, I'm on it, or I'm very near it, so we are related. The other one would be the title, the chart titles like year-to-date actual, year-to-date variance, monthly actual, the fact that they are sitting right on top of the chart. That's where they are is using the idea of proximity to say that, hey, I'm related, I'm explaining this particular chart.
Yeah, and people, only half of the attendees actually managed
I think next time we might need to give more time.
Yeah, I apologize. That's my fault. That we should have 60 seconds but then we had some quizzes where we had put 60 seconds on some of the questions, and we were just sitting and waiting, and so yeah, I apologize. That's my fault, not taking the right amount of time. So. But thank you very much, Grace, for the clear explanation of these 4. It's always nice to have something to watch, to see the concepts around these Gestalt principles. Let's see the leaderboard. It might have changed. So we have Mette Axelsen. It's a very Danish type of name, I believe, but can't be sure. So, and then Radesh and Amadeo and Wishy and Nexus also. Let's go through the next one.
Okay, which of the following does not apply to data visualization? Okay, which of the following does not apply to data visualization? Is it the Gestalt Principles? Is it maximizing data ink ratio? Is it the KonMari method? Or is it the pre-attentive attributes? Okay, which of it isn't applicable to data visualization? Let's see.
And now there was time enough. Everyone, I believe, have answered this one. So
we should have donated some of these seconds, I guess. All right. Overwhelming majority realized that KonMari method shouldn't be part of it. So yes, let me then explain. I don't have to talk about Gestalt principle because nobody chose that option. Very good. All right. Maximizing data ink ratio. It sounds like a mouthful, but if you guys have been a fan or if you've been reading up on data visualization, you might have heard of this person called Edward Tufte, Tufte. So he's the guy who says you need to maximize data ink ratio. Sounds kind of scary, sounds kind of complex, but it's not. In simple English, he's just saying do not waste ink. Whatever ink you put onto the page has to convey some meaning, right? So if you have like very flowery backgrounds and funny stuff like that, please don't do that. He's saying that that's just too much ink with not a lot of information, right? Now, even if it's related to data-related ink, he's saying be judicious about it as well. You don't have to have like duplicates of the same thing just to convey the same like information. So if you think about one of the earliest question we had today, it was about the combo chart, right? And the answer that we chose was you can share the same x-axis, but then you have two separate charts. So even though I have two separate charts, I stack them on top of each other, I line them up. I'm trying to make use of this maximizing data ink ratio by saying I only need the x-axis just once. I don't want to repeat it twice. There's not a lot of added benefit or value to that, right? So that's about maximizing data ink. You want to have as much data conveyed in as little ink as much as possible. So that's for maximizing ink. Now, pre-attentive attributes. Pre-attentive attributes are about getting people to see what you want them to see before they even realize they're seeing it. Okay, it sounds a bit like Inception, right? Yeah. So it's like why, if you look at an entire paragraph of text, if it's all just black, you have to scan everything to find like the main points. But if you just took a highlighter and you highlighted some stuff, and someone were to look at the highlighted work, their eyes would just jump to all the yellow highlights right away. And if you bold certain things, if you make certain fonts bigger, all these things are making use of pre-attentive attributes to help people see what you want them to see without even them realizing at first. Right now, the KonMari method, some of you may like, I think I know the three of them. The three other options must be related to data visualization. But what's the KonMari method? Anyone know of this Japanese lady who's like really good at tidying up your home and stuff like that? And she's like, keep the stuff that spark joy and then thank those that have served you and throw all the stuff away. Right. So those of you who are decluttering or want to be a more minimalistic lifestyle and find it very hard to let go of things, go check out KonMari. It's a method to help you declutter your life and your house.
Yeah, and we should actually say that could apply also to
yeah, I guess it could. It could apply. I mean, the spirit of it, yes, I would agree as well. The underlying spirit is just keep only what you need as well. Yeah.
Okay, let's see the leaderboard now. And we have Mette Axelsen on top still, and Rishi and Nexus. Let's have the next question. Multi-select one more time.
All right. Where can you use DEX expression-based text on visuals? All right. Where can you find this? Usually we have these somewhere in the visualizations pane. You kind of type in some words here to label some stuff. But there are some places where you can use DEX expression-based text so that depending on how you click on your slices or stuff, this thing would change. Where are these places? Title? Is it in the alternate text? Is it the x-axis or the slicer header? The alternate text is the alt text is where for the people who use that audio thing to kind of play out for you to hear, it will read it out. Okay, and you can see yes, all right. Title, alt text, and slicer header, you can use it. Only the x-axis, you can't find this anywhere in the formatting of the x-axis in Power BI.
No, at least not yet. It might come.
Not yet.
Yeah,
maybe.
We had a quiz with Will Thompson.
As of today.
Will Thompson, a couple of months ago, and he's responsible of a lot of this stuff. And he said that in point of time we should be able to do this on every field. So then it would be a lot like a reporting service, the old paginated reports, where we can also put in expressions on every field. So yeah, title, alt text, and slicer header, and there will be more and more and more of these options. So we can customize, and I believe you have put this in this question because it helps you, put in the visuals.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Because sometimes I think what we probably most of us do right now is we actually insert a text box in Power BI, and then we use this for that to see the more, if I select certain slices, I want to see like how it's changing and showing on top. But sometimes we don't want to have so many text boxes, so many objects all over the place. So I find that this thing can be very useful if you're just trying to annotate something closer to the particular visual itself. So I thought that would be very useful.
Really, really good example. Let's see the leaderboard. And we have shredded. So every question we have a new leader. So that's really good. Last week we had Mark staying on top from the first question to the last question. So this week we have it's really intensive. So now the first true and false.
Okay, you can rename the same measure with different names when used in different visuals, true or false. So we usually would, when we write decks, we would give it a name, right, for the measure. Now, when you drag that measure and drop it into your visuals, okay, is it possible to rename it differently when you use it in different visuals, even if it's the same measure? All right, very good. Most of you got that. Yes, it is true. Okay, I find this quite useful because what happens is this. A lot of times when I write my DAX measure, I usually don't write it exactly the most business-friendly way. So I think some of the people out there have been saying, you know what, you should write your DAX measures in ways that your business users can read easily and understand, and they look like proper English, something not too scary. I mean, assuming you're using English. Okay, so they would say, if you want to say total sales, say total sales, right? If you want to say average sales, just say average sales, average quantity, total quantity. Now, for me, I prefer it the other way around when I write my measures. I prefer to write sales total, sales average, sales maximum, sales top 10. Reason being, when I do my DAX measures, I find that starting with the same kind of category grouping, it's easier when I do searches. So I may have a lot of measures, but I could just key into the search like sales, and all the sales things would show up, and they were all lined up in one line visually. So I can see then the difference at the end. But if I were to use it like the normal way, the total sales and average sales and like last 12 months sales, the sales would be all over the place when I see it in that, in the data views site, right? When you search for the measures to use. So I prefer to write it sales, total sales average, but I don't recommend that to be put into your visuals for your business users because it's kind of awkward. Like, sometimes they're presenting, they're just reading from your legend or something. It's a little bit awkward. So I would recommend you, when you drag and drop that measure into the data views over there for that particular visual, there is actually a downward pointing chevron, okay, at that particular measure. Click on that. It says rename. You can actually give a different name for each of the visual wherever you use that measure. Yep. So yes, I'm glad most of you know that. So yes, it's true that you can give different names in different visuals.
And we had someone in the last couple of quizzes that if you are in trouble, just always say false, and this one wasn't that way around. So we had a lot of these true false being false as the right answer. Not this time. So everyone in the top 5 answered this one correctly. So let's go and have the last one. It's a puzzle, and here you have 60 seconds.
Okay, match the pictures to their purpose. All right. Now, I know it looks a little bit faint on the left. There are 4 pictures on screen. On the left is a slicer. The second one from the left is the drill up and down buttons. The third one is the drill through options. And the last one is a bookmark. Okay, so all these 4 what do they actually do? Okay, do they show the related report with the same filters applied, create snapshots of your data story, show different perspectives, or show different granularity layers? Okay, you would need to match the pictures to their purpose. Okay, I know the first one on the left is a little bit faint. That's actually the slices, followed by the drill up and down buttons, followed by the drill through, and then the bookmark. Okay, each of them would play a very different part, but I think they work very well together whenever you are either exploring your data, looking for some stories, and after you have gotten your stories, I think it's very helpful when you're presenting in your meeting. Okay, so let's see, we've got 3%.
3% having this one. Can it be true? I read it that way. Wow, but so can you?
Okay, so yeah, let me review. All right, so the one on the left, slices. Slices is to give you an idea of the different perspectives. You want to slice and dice. You want to show only by this business unit, only by that sales channel, only for that country, only for that market. So it's to show you the different perspectives of that same set of data. Okay, then the second one from the left would be the drill up and down. So it's the different granularity layers. So if you're right all the way up, it's probably the most aggregated layer. You drill down, you get more granularity. You drill down, you get more granularity, and so on and so forth. Okay. Then the third picture from the left, that's a drill through. It's to go to the related report with the same filters applied. I think this was really brilliant when Microsoft came up with this in Power BI, because it's like saying, usually when you're presenting in a boardroom of sorts, you might be, okay, I'm showing you this view. This is for, let's say, 2020. I'm showing you 2019. I filtered it for only the Asian market and only for perhaps the online channels. So all these are like the filters and the stuff that you're adding on as you're talking through the presentation. And then somebody asks you, like, can I see for all these that you've said so far, how does it look like in a more detailed report, right? So that's why I've said, that's why I've chosen drill through to be showing a related report with the same filters applied. So you carry all those filters and put it into that other related report. So the last one, it's a bookmark. And I think the bookmark has evolved quite a bit. And I think the base idea here is to create a snapshot of the data story at any point in time. I guess that's why it's called bookmark, right? You flip to that book, it's that page. You kind of hold it there. But today I know we've evolved to using bookmark for more things. Especially I think someone was sharing with me how you could use the bookmarks to show different views where you could hide or like show slices to make them visible or not. So I thought that's pretty cool. It's not just a snapshot of how the data looks like filtered, but even some of the interactivity to it as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of use cases for them, and I believe also you can actually share the snapshots or the bookmarks up in the service between users. So
yeah, bookmarks I think is also a really good way for you if you have already kind of analyzed your data and you've come up with the flow of story you want to present, so that what you do is before your presentation, bookmark that flow that you want. And then when you go to that boardroom, you don't kind of fiddle with all the slices and all the different filters or drill ups and downs. You just click on the different bookmarks each time you want to sort of present your point. So you don't fiddle with that, and you can focus on the conversation, and you're probably under a lot of stress with a lot of questions going on as well. Yeah, so bookmarks, I found that like a good way to help you then kind of like keep focus on the discussions and answering questions in a live presentation setting. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
That's a green 3%.
Let's see the podium, and with 5 out of 10 correctly. And
all right.
Rishi with 5 out of 10, and with 4 out of 10 actually. We have on top.
Wow.
Swedish.
All right. Congratulations.
And we have runner-up, mid, and next. So yeah, congratulations, and thank you for all for being part of the quiz today, and thank you to you, Grace, for staying up so late and also delivering this quiz that I believe we all learned a lot of things, because as you start telling, a lot of people are focused on DAX and M and data modeling, but there's more to it, and it's not just it's a science delivering good insights, and this last 5 or 10% can really give a lot.
Yeah, it's that last mile that I really feel like, we need to pay a little bit of attention to it so that, all those hard work that we've done is a lot of work. It's just like, but a lot of times when you go to the management meetings or to even your external stakeholders or your partners, sometimes they don't get it, they don't see it because they just don't understand the work. And it can be really a shame if we let it slide just at that last part. So yeah, I think a little bit of this, a little bit of learning on the data viz part and storytelling part can really go a very, very long way to make sure all that hard work gets recognized, it gets somewhere, puts it in front of the right people, gets the approvals you need, gets the stuff that you need to get your work going.
Yeah. So it's all about having the data put directly into the brain of the people watching, so they don't need to use so much energy on finding the numbers.
Yeah, and all that inception thing. It's if you really think about it, end of the day, it's not just brain energy. The more energy someone needs to spend to try to figure it out, they're probably going to be not as happy. They'll be kind of like a bit, ugh, I'm taking a bit too much. So at the deeper level, it actually we're looking at emotions as well. How do people emotionally react to what you're putting in front of them? Yeah.
So thank you for being a part of the quiz. And next week we actually have a topic that is not in the same category, I will say, because it's around themes and layouts of reports. That's also very important, and especially themes around picking the right colors is one of them. So, and that's Mike Carlo joining us on that topic. He's one of the two people behind Power BI.tips, where they have actually a theme generator and some layouts that you can download, stuff like that. So I hope to see you all next week, and and sleep well, I will say, Grace, because I believe you are going directly into bed now.
Pretty much, yes. Need to wind down after all the adrenaline rush. So it's going to take a while. But yes.
Thank you for giving us all this energy. It was really, really fun to have you here in the quiz. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Yus. That was fun as well.
So bye all.